And now there's talk of a possible mini deal, but our next guest says that may not be the best way to go. Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson, a member of the Senate Budget Committee, joins us from our D.C. bureau. Senator, it's kind of unusual for Washington to have somebody who's actually been involved in running a business to be involved in talks as important as these. Tell us, where do you think the discussion stands at the moment?
Well, good morning, Dana. Thanks for having me on. I think there's a growing group of Republican senators and House members that actually are willing to increase the debt ceiling as long as we fix the problem. You know, we've had a proposal out there now for a couple months, and I went over to the House Study Committee and talked about this as well. Cut, cap, and balance. You know, we need to cut spending in the next couple of years off the baseline. That can save trillions. But then we got to provide a statutory cap. You know, put us on a glide path over a number of years to get our spending and the size of government down. And then I think what's absolutely crucial, because no matter what law Congress passes, they'll figure some way to weasel around it. But we've got to pass a constitutional amendment to limit the size of government to balance the budget. And if we pass that piece of legislation from the House, and then the increase in the debt ceiling would be contingent on sending that balanced budget amendment to the states. Let's let the people decide. Let's let the states decide. I'm happy to let the American people install that discipline on all of us. So we have to start prioritizing spending for the first time in decades.
It seems to me that in a way that this is coming down to the age-old debate that Democrats want to raise taxes, Republicans want to cut spending. How much time do we have in order to actually get this done? I mean, they've said August 2nd is really the date. You've sent a letter to the White House. I wonder what kind of response you've gotten from the president.
Well, I sent a letter to the White House on May 25th saying it was very irresponsible for the administration to be scaring the markets, scaring the American people. Very irresponsible of this administration to assume they're going to get an increase in the debt ceiling and not having a contingency plan just in case. I finally got a response from Secretary Geithner last week, and I sent a letter back to him basically saying that if one Social Security recipient doesn't get their check, if one soldier doesn't get paid, if one debt payment is not met, it's their fault. It would be their choice. There's no reason, because if we don't increase that debt ceiling right away, we would have to live within our means. And that would be, according to the president's own budget, $2.6 trillion. Dana, that's $800 billion more than we spent just 10 years ago under Bill Clinton. It wouldn't have to be a crisis if we actually planned for it. So that was the purpose of that letter. And I've been very disappointed that this president has not led on this issue at all. He's just been gone. He's been AWOL on this issue.
Senator, help us with the news this morning that people are seeing news about a possible mini deal. This would be a little bit of an increase in the debt ceiling for a little bit of decrease in the spending. The White House yesterday rejected that and said that the president has consistently said it's in the country's interest to have a long-term deal. Now, from your perspective on the Republican side, is a mini deal anything that you all could accept?
Well, listen, that's just business as usual here in Washington. And Dana, last week, I stood up in the Senate and I started to object. I started to withhold my consent until we actually started addressing this issue right up front. You know, I know President Obama tried to take credit for not having the Senate, take their recess, but it was people like Senator Jeff Sessions, and I certainly made my intentions very clear that I would object if we went on recess, because we have got to start addressing this problem this week, and that's what I hope to do while we're in session.
Well, I know you haven't been quiet about it. We'll be watching you over the next week as you continue to hold everybody's feet to the fire. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me on.
All right, Senator.